friends and enemies. Welcome back, Canadian Bitcoiners Podcast. My name is Joey. That's Len. This is number 184. Buddy, lots going on in the world of Bitcoin and the world of extreme weather. But before we start,
it's getting warm over here. It must be the reason why that things are.
What's going on? How are you?
Yeah, man, Joy. After a great weekend, I mean, what an event, eh?
Totally.
Yeah. You were there just for the dinner, but man, oh man, Tom and Nick, the Rockstar people, Your Life, Your Terms event, they're always like incredible. They're well run. I have to say one thing too, like just before we go any further. My wife mentioned to Nick, when we first got there was not a seat available.
Yeah.
And Nick right away is like, "Oh my God, I'm like, no, this is a testament to you guys that people show up and want to listen to you guys."
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was incredible, man. The event I heard was really outstanding. Tom and Nick, I mean, they go balls to the wall with those events all the time. I talked to Tom after my last Your Life Returns podcast appearance about like the cost and the time, and it really is like a huge undertaking. And for those guys to be able to put one on basically once a quarter ish, it's twice a year, maybe something like
twice
that.
a year.
Yeah. So I mean, for them to do that really is a testament to how much they care about their client base. They don't make any money off of that. I don't know if Tom and Nick told you that. It's like not a moneymaker for them. It's expensive to rent the conference hall out, and then they basically just try and backfill the cost of that with the booths. And they don't even, if I had to guess, they probably don't make it all back. Once you factor in like paying for people's travel, if they do that, there was some people coming from pretty far to give talks and do a bit of content during that conference there. Can you call it a conference? What is it? Is it a symposium if it's only one day? I don't know, but it's, it is what it is. And I think they do a good job, and to their credit, they had, a small group of us for dinner afterwards, which I really appreciated. It was good to see you and your wife. I know Kenzie was happy to see the Bull Bitcoin guys again, see you again, and Mark, and meet Tom and Nick for the first time, among others. Good to see Ben Perrin there. I won't name names. I talked to a few good Bitcoiners who are.
I will, because they came there. Ben was a great guy, not Ben BTC Sessions, but another Ben.
Other Ben.
Yeah. It's good to meet. And there was a few guys that came to listen to the show and just came up to me.
Yeah.
Like, "Hi, listen to you guys."
BTC mentor. I won't say the name. A few other people who I don't want to say they're fans.
He's saying as a name?
Well, I don't know if he is or not, but he runs that account. And I hate calling people fans of the show. You listen to the show, you enjoy the show, but being a fan, I don't know. I never liked the way that sounded. I think you guys are as much a part of this whole thing as we are. And it's great to talk to you guys. And then Len, the Bull guys never disappoint. I was sitting with Guillaume and talking to him about a number of things. And my wife,
there was one particular event though, Joy.
Yeah.
When I got there, I went to go say hello to Tom. He was busy. He just wanted to say hi and give him a hug, and very nice to say hello to him. As I'm walking back, unbelievable. There was a group of individuals there, unhinged corn lords, taking up a fucking row. I had no idea they were going to show up. Like, what the fuck is this? They just appeared.
The corn lords somehow parted. It's amazing. They somehow got wind of this event. They must be, one of them has to be on the Your Life Your Terms mailing list. So they get wind of the event. I don't want to say beg. They asked Tom if they could come, Tom and Nick. Tom said sure. And so they come to the event, and they're very cordial. They thank Tom afterwards, which you'd love to see that. Not that I'm responsible for the corn lords, but
my God.
Awesome.
And
yeah.
My daughter was recognized by a few people from the video that she did on a cold card.
Nice.
And yeah, it was good. It was a good event all around. Yeah. I mean, thank you, Mr. Caradzas, yes. Plural, for inviting us. That was very
very gracious. And again, the Bull guys, Kev, Pablo, Guillaume, good talking to you guys. Yeah. It's just Tom said it, and I'll echo it here. Being with that group of people is incredible. And it's not just because, they're affiliated with CBP or because, you get a dinner out of it, but it's rather because that's a group of like-minded people who really are putting rubber on the road in a lot of ways, whether it's our little thing with the podcast or Your Life, Your Terms, realty turned Bitcoin maximalist, outfit in the desert. Ben Perrin there doing his thing as always, the educator extraordinaire, the Bull guys showing up and showing out like always. It's it's just such a great group of guys, man. And he says the same thing to me every time we get together with that group, that the conversation just gets going and it just doesn't stop. Once everyone's seated and talking, it just flows, man. And there's not many people you can do that with, even people who you know and are like really good, tight buddies with. There's still lulls in the conversation, but you sit with those guys and there's just so much to say. I really appreciate that about everybody. And I was really, really glad that
yeah. And they'll show up even, it's not like you have to supply free pizza for them to show up. They will show up regardless. You know what I mean? So like, that's good, man. I like to hear that.
Totally. Anyway, let's get into the sponsors. Easy DNS. Mark was at the dinner. He was telling some good stories about some of the stuff he's been up to over the last little while. I got to say, Mark has been a great partner to the show. Easy DNS is probably the best place out there to get a website, take care of any registrar domain stuff that you need. For a number of reasons. We talked about them a bunch on the show. DomainSure is this thing that's come to our sort of like, into view for us, Len and I, in a big way over the last few weeks, thanks to Mark teaching us a little bit about it. This is a thing that will keep your domain safe from typo squatting. So if you have .com and someone grabs .co or .co or .ca or whatever, some other suffix, let's say, and wants to scam people, Mark will make sure that you're taken care of. If people are spoofing your domain through emails or other stuff, Mark will take care of it. And there's a whole suite of stuff that's available with EasyDNS and DomainSure. But then on top of that, there's the basics that everyone who gets a website should demand at this point, because Mark is doing it. There's no reason why everyone else can't do it. GPG and PGP email, all your virtual private server needs taken care of. Easy to bring a website over to Mark or buy one through Mark. Piece of cake either way. It's cheap, money back guarantee. Doesn't matter what the reason is. If you don't like the service, he'll just hand you your cash. And on top of that, Len, he's a Bitcoiner, takes Bitcoin for the services, and obviously writes the Bitcoin capitalist letter, which we like over here at CBP. And you can't beat that, man. It's like another good guy, good Bitcoiner, family man, taking care of business in the Bitcoin world. So if you want to patronize Mark and start your own website, which you should really have, like even if you just buy it to stash the domain, do it through Mark. EasyDNS.com. CBP Media is the code. Or just tell them we sent you, and you get 50% off your first round of buys, which you can't beat. Who's the second sponsor?
Bull Bitcoin. I'm not going to be squatting on that domain name because it's taken, and nor would I try to get make a spoof of that, because obviously it would be snatched up and caught by the good people at EasyDNS. Bull Bitcoin, like, look, the price of Bitcoin, 64,000 and change, went up today. Right, like
we're down again now. Sad, like under 63. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, damn.
Well, whatever the heck it is what it is. Buy, sell. You have different options. I'm gonna take a peek right now. Fees are still very cheap, so you could buy on chain, which I would recommend. You could do through Lightning, which is an option. I would recommend people learn how to do that when fees do get higher, because it will come eventually. But for the time being, buy on-chain. And you can sell on-chain. Bull Bitcoin has you covered in either of those two endeavors. But also, Bull Bitcoin will give you the ability to sell your Bitcoin and use that to pay your bills. So you're going to be, you have a bill to pay, whatever the heck it is. You have a car payment, you have mortgage, whatever. Well, one way you could pay it, instead of just using dirty fiat, you could use your Bitcoin. And a lot of us, we've been sitting on Bitcoin for a very long time. So it's maybe gone up in price. It could be an opportunity for you to start using it in that regard. Another thing you could do with your Bitcoin is, it's hard to use it in the real world. So what does Bull Bitcoin give you the option to do? Buy gift cards with your Bitcoin. And with that, you can start spending the gift cards in the real world. So you're kind of spending indirectly your Bitcoin through your everyday purchases. You could go Home Depot, you could go to Starbucks, whatever the heck you want to do. So a lot of different options there. Check them out. If you have not opened an account with them, use our promo code. And if you do, $21 is going to be added to your account. And man, oh man, you are in good hands. There's no better Bitcoiners in this game than Bull Bitcoin. Ask around, go look around. You will find everybody looks at Bull Bitcoin. They hold it at very high regard. Other countries wish they had it. France has it right now, but other countries don't. It's too bad. So sad. But you know what? We have it here in Canada. Take advantage while you have it.
100%. I made a nice big buy today on Bull Bitcoin. I'm happy to announce here on CDP. Third sponsor, Decentral Technologies, Len. If you're looking to make like Jeffrey Epstein and buy some miners, these guys have you covered. Whether you want to get into the S19, S21, the big rack and stack, cause some ruckus in your neighborhood, make the city wonder why your hydro bill is so high. These guys got you covered there. They'll also do repairs of those boards, of course, and those units. Make sure that you're still hashing even in the adversarial conditions, let's say. But as I like to mention as well, if you want to get into the wife-friendly mining game, which many of you are getting into, I understand. I have on good wordland that the CBP miners are almost sold out.
Oh
So
man, that's good
yeah,
and bad.
it's good and bad. If you didn't get one yet,
Yeah,
you ought to. And if you can't get one, you should get a bid
yeah.
axe anyways, because these things are really incredible units. It helps to decentralize the hash. And it's a lottery ticket if you want it to be. It's in a pool pointed. It's pointed to a pool that you support if you want it to be. And whether you want it to be or not, it is a conversation starter. I'll tell you that much. And a lot of people who I've spoken to over the year, since we basically started talking decentral, maybe half year, I should say, have all been super hype on not only the company, not only the team over there, but the units are just so flashy, so nice. Whatever you need, man, when it comes to mining, they got you. Head over. There's no promo code. Buy some stuff. Buy a miner. Buy a doll. I don't care. These guys deserve your business, and we're happy to be partnered with them over here at CBP.
Boosts.
Let's do it.
All right, so we have top 5 boosts, but I'm going to call 6 because same guy did 2, so I'm going to throw him in, which is Wartime. He did twice, 333 sats. First time, he writes in friends and enemies. That's it. I love it. Second time, GM with a couple of beer mugs.
Good morning. The good morning beer. Interesting. Yeah, were we on vacation? When is the good morning beer appropriate? It's only appropriate, I think, if you're wearing an all-inclusive bracelet, if you're getting ready to go to a music festival, and St. Patrick's Day. Are those the only 3 times you can have a beer before 12? I think so. I might be the wrong guy to ask, but I think that's about it. Maybe there's other ones I don't know.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when the other times would be, but I think that's about as long as my list is. And by the way, I think probably 2 of those things I've probably aged out of. So I'm down to 1 time, and it's the vacation all-inclusive morning beer. But that's it for me. Thanks for the
Well,
boost.
maybe morning when you drink, but somewhere in the world it's going to be afternoon, evening, and
Is that
night.
the trick? Is that the trick?
That I remember when somebody was practicing Ramadan and he was eating during the day. He's like, it's night somewhere. He said,
Wait a minute.
So yeah, Baba Maleka, 500 sats. He says, interesting deep dive into hyperinflation with David St. Ange.
Dave's the best, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. His book is behind me there, Bitcoin for Beginners. I replaced Bill Simmons, or Shea Serrano, I should say, basketball and other things. Dave was a great guest. And I've been meaning to talk to him since the summertime. We tried to book one during the conference and couldn't get it done because of my logistical error. But he's a guy who's done a lot of research, Len. And if you listen to that show, it's not just, sort of a mile wide and an inch deep. It's in depth. The things that cause currency inflation, the idea that governments who have US dollar denominated debt, including European countries, I shouldn't say US dollar denominated debts in European countries, but rather debts in currencies, debts with currencies in which they cannot print. It's very problematic because the loans become burdensome, and it's just this real crazy spiral. As well as stuff like substitution theory, like currency substitution. It was a really good interview. I'm glad I spoke with him. If you guys haven't seen his presentation, you can go on his website, which I think I put in the show notes. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. If not, go to him on Twitter, and you'll see a lot of the stuff he's done, written, spoken about. You should have some understanding of this, because as a Bitcoiner, you're going to take questions on this all the time. Well, what's the currency is not hyperinflating? There's no hyperinflation. And I think, Dave and I were talking about this during the show. The powers that be, sort of put these 3 or 4 check boxes on what makes hyperinflation. And we basically got all of them except for this 50% in a month thing. So make of that what you will. It's possible that the goalposts are not quite as important as the powers that be want you to believe, as it pertains to hyperinflationary outcomes in modern economies. So yeah, good interview. I'm glad he came on. And thanks once again to him for, I think, doing it on somewhat short notice, but also staying a little longer, because we got not off the rails, but he had a couple of good things to say at the end. I didn't want to cut it at an hour.
Mo BTC Dick, 500 sats. God, I'm stoked on my bidaxe. Hope to have a small army of M1 day. I would suggest, if you're going to do that, maybe just go get a bigger, beefier option, maybe like a S21
Do both.
or S19.
Why not do both?
Or do both. It'll be noisier, But I think for bang for the buck, you probably would benefit from just getting from one of those. Also, you could get like an S19 that could plug into one of your regular 110 volts, and it'll be much quieter too. So that's another option. My suggestion, and either way, Decentral Tech will have you covered with all those different suggestions.
I know.
Boomer, aka the Broken Ruler, 1000 sats. Great interview. David is one of those guys who make the Canadian Bitcoin community special. He always has a smile on his face, contributes a ton to the Montreal meetups, and is always out there orange pilling, but keeps a low profile online and isn't interested in being an influencer, in quotes. He's a real one and someone I've looked up to in the space for a while. It was awesome to hear Joey speak with him.
I appreciate that, Boomer. I forgot to mention, you know that in the interview, Dave had a BitX running next to him the entire time.
Couldn't hear it.
Couldn't hear it. Yeah, pretty sick. He lives like 20 minutes from Decentral. And so I think the story he told me after, I don't want to give up. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give up the whole thing. He went there looking for a BitX. They didn't have one ready. So they built him one in like half an hour.
That's awesome.
How great is that? Is that not awesome? Like what company does that for you? That's great.
Lightning Mick, 2100 sats. I hear it might be Alen who is Satoshi. Find out Tuesday what a jackass this Cullen HBO director is.
Is it coming out tomorrow? Is that the date for the, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to watch it, but whatever.
No, we'll talk about that momentarily because that's certainly, it's making headways. One last thing I'm done with the boost. I've interviewed yesterday evening Matthew from the Laurier Bitcoin Club.
Matt Vuk,
I guess you're going to post that,
right? That guy?
I didn't say his last name. It's just Matthew. That's all I leave
Oh, he's on Twitter. I think that's him. Maybe it's not though.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be either way. Very cool guy, and I think it's going to go live Wednesday. I'm guessing. Is that right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So unfortunately, it's not going to go live, and the reason being, he has class. So, right, he's a student. He's a second-year student at Laurier, and we're in different ends of the spectrum. He and I. So he has commitments that couldn't do it on a weekday night. So here we are. We did it on a weekend. We'll still release it. So hope you enjoy it.
Bless him. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I should have, if I had known it was probably there last night. I should have just done the audio yesterday and saved myself the work later, but that's okay. Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Theirs.
So yeah. Who do we have next week is Goomba, right?
I have Goomba next week.
Okay.
And week after, I might have somebody lined up.
I'm going to try and get Mike Campbell for the week after.
Okay.
So let me reach out to Mike. He's back doing his show. So I wanted to wait, but I'll reach out to Mike and the team there and see if he wants to come on Tuesday or Wednesday that week. And I'll save you. I don't want you doing too much because you're going to be carrying the load for probably 3 weeks or so.
I think it's going to be longer than that.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But
I have a feeling it's going to be a 6-month endeavor, but
my hope,
it's okay. I mean,
my hope is that it's 3 weeks, but we'll see. Yeah. Kenzie's on the other side of the door right beside me putting a couch together. We just bought a couch. So yeah, we're getting ready for, I don't know, what's the word? A growing family. I don't know. It makes you feel weird to say that. Blessed, but weird all the same. Anyway, should we get to the Bitcoin stuff? It's been 20 minutes here almost. We're just wasting.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So let's start off with a story that, it's kind of flew under the radar when it was initially released, was Bitcoin Core 28. It came out with not much fanfare because if you look at the X account that normally handles Bitcoin Core information, announced nothing until a few days after.
You actually got on Twitter, and was that a pointed tweet toward that account? It was. Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious. I don't tend to do this very often, but for that, I seemed it was appropriate. But they didn't release that information until days later. It seemed odd that Bitcoin Core version 28.0 has been released. Either way, for those wondering what goodies are included in this release, it's supporting testnet 4, which is going to replace eventually testnet 3. It has something called pay to anchor, which may allow for more efficiencies when using witness output spending. So this can make it more efficient for opening Lightning channels, which can be good. RBF is now enabled by default, so it's there on version 28, which is cool. But there's some things that are wrong with it, with Bitcoin Core version 28. LND, so if you're running the version of that type of Lightning node LND, every version up to 0.18.3, which is essentially every version, seems to be incompatible with Bitcoin Core version 28. So you are shit out of luck. Also, if you're running a local version of mempool, elect RS is incompatible with Bitcoin Core 28, from what I understand. It basically, the processes kill each other. So if you want to have a functioning node with Lightning support and also having the ability to have a mempool, Bitcoin Core 28 doesn't seem to be the right version for you. So, I mean, that's obviously the bad, which just seems to be odd. Shouldn't they be testing this shit out beforehand? But whatever, it is what it is. With this release, made Bitcoin Core version 25.x and everything before that obsolete, because as of the release of this, it's Bitcoin Core 25.x and below will not receive any critical security fixes moving forward. That's the way it operates. It's the version -2. So version 28, 27, and 26 are getting all the critical security releases moving forward, which is cool. So I had mine version 25.2, I think it was. I had moved over to 26.2. I'm always a few behind for obvious reasons. I can see why I do this.
Good practice. Yeah.
Also, with version 20, it comes a new mempool filter. I don't know too much about this, but this is supposedly, hopefully, I mean, I'm not sure exactly without really saying too much. It could stop spam. I don't know, but there is a new mempool filter included in this. But really, with all this being said, we have 28 released, has issues. Would you want to upgrade to it? I would say no. Like I gave you a few reasons why not. And it's basically, like you mentioned, good practice. Stay a few versions behind if you're going to run core. Don't go on, I don't want to say this is bleeding edge, but don't go at the tip of the spear here. Stay as far away as possible with still getting critical updates. That's my opinion. Or run a competing version. Knots, maybe one. There's lots of different options out there. We'll talk about that just a bit. But yeah, 28.0 seems to be a dud right now until there is going to be some patches released, which I assume will be soon.
What should I add to this? I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this on this show, I think twice or 3 times now in the last 2 months. These sort of maybe not issues with core releases, but rather issues with communication from the core team, right? And this is another example, man. I was watching to give you an idea of like how sort of far ahead we are as far as like, our race with traditional finance and adoption, in terms of adoption, I should say. I watched that BlackRock presentation on Bitcoin that was given at Token 24 or whatever it's called, or Digital Asset 24. I forget what the name of the conference is. And there's a couple of Q&A segments at the end where they talk about, what are the challenges for Bitcoin? What are the challenges as far as this potential disruptions, and everyone talks about the same thing. They talk about government intervention. They talk about, global EMP. It's nonsense, but it's, a concern for Bitcoin among other financial networks, of course. But no one ever talks about the core team. And I think, Len, as this thing gains momentum, Bitcoin, the asset class, I think there's going to be more eyes on the core team and more solid, steady, and transparent expectations of that group in terms of communication, in terms of when to update the core software, in terms of what a round number update. I'm probably not using that term right, but like 28, for example. What should that look like as opposed to the iterations you might do in between versions? I think that this is becoming big enough that it warrants another look at the requirements around updating the software, doesn't it?
Agreed.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot at stake here.
They fucked this up, not the software itself, well, maybe the software itself in this case, but they fucked this up 3 times now in the last 3 months, something like that, right? That's about the cadence, I think.
Well, I don't want to say fuck. It was the release
the communication. The communication
that was
like
bad.
They talked about the old software having problems, right? And now this issue with the brand new version. This is how does, and not that we need to like cater to BlackRock first and foremost, but how does a $1 trillion asset manager say to its client base, "Oh yeah, okay, well, can you do anything about this communication?" What's BlackRock going to say? Well, no, we can't. Like, that's not going to stand for that much longer. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I think it's inevitable that we see changes in the way these things are communicated. And there will be Bitcoiners who say, well, this is why there's no open source developers anymore, because everyone has a target on them and the expectations have changed and it's not fair and wah. Well, guys, maybe you're not cut out to manage the $1 trillion Bitcoin. Maybe you were only cut out to manage the $500 Bitcoin. Many of you are still from that era. God bless you for sticking around, right? But things change, and the demands of the people who are holding the asset change. It's a very fluid situation, I think, now more than ever, and it requires a new set of standards that right now, in my opinion, are not being met.
And all this really is they're providing users like you and I and everybody else is the ability to run a particular software, node software. Yep. That's all it really is. It's competing software. There already is some, and anybody can simply make a new one as well. As long as the software is in consensus with the network rules,
right?
People can start using that new software and go with it. So that's the one beauty about this whole thing is there is no intellectual property we're dealing with. We don't have to ask for permission or give people money to make software that's going to be used on the network. Anybody can do it. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. And I don't recommend you try either. This is not the time to try. You got to learn first.
It just is that the ability is there. If there's a hole in the ecosystem and you want to fill that void, you can do it with enough time, effort, energy, and money. You could take care of that and do it because there's nothing stopping anybody or a group of individuals or a company or whatever from doing it. And it's also good to have competing products. Having more of these products out there give users an opportunity to pick and choose whatever they want.
For sure.
They might have a particular flavor that they want to run for whatever reason. That's great. If it runs in consensus with the rules of the network, all the more power to everybody, man. I don't give a fuck.
Open source is the way, right? We've been promoting it, I guess is the wrong word, but we've been advocates of open source development. We support open source software on this show. Just there's ups and downs, right? So
this MSTR fight that's going on here, and we haven't even talked about it. Then in our chat in the Corn Lords, it's still going on. I don't know what's going on. There's something in the water, and I'm not going to talk about this.
Are we talking about MSTR today?
Hell no. No. This is, I'm entertained.
It's in the chat now. It's in the chat. Ben Schmidt, who was at the dinner. I see these guys going. Ben's not in the Corn Lord chat, or is he? I don't know. Maybe he is.
No.
The Twitter stuff today. Everyone's taking the MSTR bait, the master bait on Twitter and fighting each other. Guys in the Corn Lords going after Ben, going after a few others. My opinion on I know you said we're not going to talk about MSTR. My opinion on MSTR is great, and Ben had a great point today. When everyone else, I'm not saying you want or don't want MSTR. You do whatever you want, but if you have some fiat exposure to Bitcoin through MSTR, when everyone else is selling Bitcoin for services and goods, you will be selling MSTR for those services and goods first, I think. And some people say that in 2026, you might run into a problem because some of those bonds mature. We'd have to get SB on to talk about that. Or Josh Olszewicz talks about that. Or maybe Punter Jeff, if he ever responds to my fucking Twitter messages. But anyway, we don't have to talk about it. It's fine. Whatever.
I am entertained, Joey. Just like I can sense the car rack, and once it happens, I'm going to drive by. Oh, look at that. So as for alternative nodes out there, because we were chatting about Bitcoin Core, there's one node software that people can run. It's called BTCD. BTCD. That's an alternate node, Bitcoin node that was written in Go. And unfortunately, this has a consensus bug. And people using this, well, the people maintaining it suggest you should be upgrading it. The latest version right now is 0.24.2. That was released in June. As of October 6th, yesterday, I don't see a newer version that could be upgraded. So they may be suggesting to upgrade to a newer version. I don't see it on their GitHub. Well, for people wondering what's the difference between, say, BTCD and, say, something like Bitcoin Core, BTCD does not have a wallet software built in it. Unlike Core, where you can function as a wallet as well as a node, it's not recommended, in my opinion, to run the wallet on your Bitcoin Core. But either way, BTCD does not give you that option. It's just strictly the node. So with that, there's no ability to generate a receive address or broadcast a transaction like you can on Core. But there's going to be a pending security update, and people at BTCD note that transparency is key, and they will disclose information in a week after making this announcement. So that means October 10th, in a few days from now, they're going to reveal why, and hopefully the reason why people should be upgrading their software, because it's taking a week to release that information. So a lot of people using this. Apparently not. Looks like around 36 people in total are running these nodes. It's not a heck of a lot of people,
No.
but in a grand scheme of things. But either way, this is an alternative, but this is an alternative that has issues. But even providing information a week after the fact, and they're telling people to upgrade, and I couldn't find where to upgrade to, at least on the GitHub.
Cool.
Maybe there's somewhere else.
This sounds all really cool and very cash money. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there you go. Here's an alternative, but it's
so what do you like? What do you do? You just run Knots, I guess. Like what? Like
Knots
what else?
is great. From what I don't run.
If you don't want to run just regular core, you don't want to run BTCD.
I run core. I mean, full disclosure, I run core. Mine is 26 point something. Knots is fine. Very good from what I understand. I run mine has a filter on it. So through the bitcoin.com file, I put in some specific commands provided by Bitcoin all caps. Thank you to him for that information. So it's filtering out that from my mempool, which is great.
Yeah.
But I run core. What option are you going to have? Whatever you want. A lot of different options. BTCD. Based on what I see,
try it out.
But it's good to have options.
Give it a shot. See what happens.
I ain't.
Recommended by CBP Len.
No, man. You know what? To spin up a new node, it's a commitment. You know, like it's a several day commitment.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sit there and watch it, but yeah, it takes several days to sync up.
Oh, it's brutal, man.
Yeah,
but you have to every once in a while go peek on it to see if something has happened. Maybe it lost internet connection and it never reestablished, and it's stuck. 32% into the process, and you got to try to babysit it through the rest of the way. It's I've been through it many times, and I don't want to go through it again. And just a heads up for people that do, if you already synced it, you can back up everything. It's in the chain folder, there's chain, something like that. There's two folders you could essentially back up, and you don't have to go through the whole painful process of doing an IBD. And it's going to be like 600 gigabytes, 700 gigabytes in total. So you have to have a beefy drive that has a lot of spare capacity.
I usually get IBD after I have a piece of cheese. But anyway,
let's move on, man. Let's move on. Ocean mining. They launched Datum. When this came out last week, we could have talked about it. It was late in the game.
It was the same day, I think, that we did the show, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And my Mondays are generally really busy, so there's not much I could do to pick up anything that's recent. Datum, what it stands for, is Decentralized Alternative Template for Universal Mining. That's what it stands for. So to give some context what Datum is, I first have to explain what is the process for Bitcoin mining, what it currently works right now. So you have these miners, either large corporations with a lot of equipment that's racked, or a simple nerd miner. Either one, they'll have to connect to a pool, something like Foundry, Brains, or whatever. And so once a block is found within a pool, it's up to the company that's maintaining the pool, like Foundry or Brains or whatever, to build a block by selecting whatever transactions they want to include into the next block. So with a few big mining pools out there, you can make a case that there could be some centralization within the world of building blocks. Well, here comes something called Stratum v2, and this is developed by Brains. And what this is, it has one big improvement aside from a few others. And one of the big improvements is to help with decentralized mining, allows for individual miners to select the transactions they want to include in the next block. So they basically will be building it. And so this helps reduce the risk of censorship. Rather than letting the pool decide which transactions to include, the miners can do that very task. And so you're not going to have potentially something censored out of not being added to the next block. Ocean did some analysis and came to the conclusion that Stratum v2 is not quite ready yet. And so in the interim, they released something called Datum, and it enables then miners to build their own blocks using their own block template, very similar to what Stratum v2 does. And Datum is currently in public beta. And as a way to incentivize users to adopt it, they're offering a 50% discount on pool fees. This is a way to help encourage miners to not only go to Brains, but also use the Datum public, the beta release that's going right now. And if people are wondering if this is going to be a long-term solution to replace Stratum v2, probably not, because Stratum v2 offers a few other goodies like enhanced communications and further efficiencies, which Datum does not provide. Maybe it will in the future, but for the time being, Datum does not provide that. So the roadmap is, this is just a stepping stone to eventually get to Stratum v2 whenever that is ready for prime time. So interesting decision by Ocean to release this.
Yeah, we should get Bob on the show to talk about this. Be curious to hear some of his rationale that he, maybe didn't share on Twitter. And also, this is, I understand, the way for something like CBP pool to exist, right? Narwhal in the chat last week saying that it sounds to him like this is a way you could create your own kind of custom, maybe custom is the wrong word, bespoke, let's say, mining pool, bespoke blocks, as you mentioned there, through the new template option. It's kind of neat. And, this is, I think, it's a testament to one of the bigger names in the mining space, understanding that there's a need for decentralization and to get away from the stuff that we've been doing in mining, which is great. And Bob is an Ocean proponent. You're an Ocean proponent, I think, as well. I don't want to speak for you, but that's a pool you like and a setup you think is beneficial to the network. So I say I'm all for this. Now, the one thing is like, how did Stratum v2 catch a stray in all this? Like, people really like Stratum v2. I don't really hear much negative talk about that from Brains. So
yeah, and Boomer's even asking that, like, why are they, instead of using it, they build their own thing?
Yeah,
from what I gather, it's just not ready yet. It's simply, I'm going to equate it to Lightning in a way. Maybe I'm just oversimplifying things.
Is Lightning not ready, or is it just not adopted? Like, that's
no, I don't think it's ready. I mean, not only the fact that it can't be scaled out to every citizen, so every person on this globe, there's still some user issues when using it, in terms of sometimes things don't go through. You have to manage your balances if you run your own node, the channel, the balances and so forth. So it's not the easiest thing to use. And even then, when you think you have the right amount that could, right amount for outgoing and ingoing, and you do a transaction, doesn't go through, like, what the fuck? Like, just, I don't know. It's great, but not perfect. It's getting better. But that's what I'm kind of relate Stratum v2. When you're talking about something you're expending a great deal of cost, you want to have it work and get paid right away. If you're a miner, you don't give a fuck if they're building a block.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
You just want to get paid.
Yep.
So until
in a lot of cases, your shareholders demand it, right? Like, there's a whole other set of requirements for those guys. Yeah.
And they could be all JPEGs. Or they could be all like whatever.
No one cares.
They're happy. The shareholders are happy in the end because they're getting paid. So
totally,
that's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So HBO. Let's move on to the HBO thing.
Why are we talking about, like, what? This is retarded. This, like, stupid documentary.
It's regarded. I agree. Very regarded.
Yeah.
I heard a G.
Highly regarded. Yeah.
Yes, I heard a G. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, for whatever reason, on Bitcoin Twitter, it's taken.
It is huge.
A lot of people talking about it. Yeah. And so, heck, I mean, if people are talking about it, I might as well at least bring it up. I don't have much to say aside from the fact, for people that are wondering, this is something called Electric Money, the Bitcoin Mystery. It's set to be released on October 8th. That's of tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern on HBO. And the documentary claims to reveal the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah, right. The documentary, think about it, though. This does raise one question, and I've thought about this at length, is for a group of people, Bitcoiners, where we have the don't trust, verify, we're always trying to find the truth. For whatever reason, this whole Satoshi identity, we just kind of let it be, because we don't have the ability to look into it. We don't have the resources, or maybe it's just impossible to find out who the dude or dudette was, or the group of people. I have no idea. But either way, it just seems odd that, as Bitcoiners, that we just kind of accept it.
Does it matter though? Like, doesn't it matter who Satoshi is at this point? It doesn't even matter if Satoshi's like an agent at the CIA at this point.
It doesn't really matter.
That ship has sailed. The ship has sailed.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that's the person that started it all. It would be nice to have that knowledge, I guess. But this documentary, there's no fucking way this is going to solve anything. It's very regarded in here, but definitely there's no way this is gonna be found through this simple documentary. I think that this ship has sailed, and we will probably never know. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong.
I share that view. I share that view.
Okay.
Also, as an aside, like Netflix doesn't do anything well, really. So what makes them think that they could figure out who Satoshi is? Do you remember when this show was in its, HBO. Do you remember when this show was in its infancy? We did a Len Sassman Bitcoiner of the Week.
Yes, and you picked him. You did it.
Someone recommended to me on Twitter. That person, it could have even been Boomer, honestly. It was an early episode. I don't know if Boomer was listening yet, but somebody recommended that I do Len Sassman.
If not, go back in the archives to see if you can find it.
I'd have to find it. But I mean, it's like way back. But
a lot of people are saying him.
He's not a bad guess, but like the thing is,
he's gone.
Exactly. And everyone who thinks that they have the name, right, is always pointing to some guy who's dead or Adam Back. Sometimes it's Adam Back. Sometimes it's Nick Szabo. But like these guys, if they didn't move the coins yet, like these guys are not waiting for the 2024 Bitcoin bull run. There's 1 million coins, man. The Satoshi coins, they are a great many. If you want to live on a yacht the rest of your life and, ensure that your entire bloodline for 1,000 generations is taken care of, you could have done it already. You don't need to wait for 75K or whatever. There's no laser eyes on this guy till 100K. He doesn't care that much. So I think here's a question for you, just a little fun aside. Satoshi, alive or dead?
I'm guessing dead. You figure through the history of him leaving, he would have moved one.
I don't know
of those coins. So, but the fact that
what happens first? Second coming of Jesus Christ or Satoshi moving the coins?
I don't fucking know.
Hard to say. This segment sponsored by FanDuel. Plus or minus.
Oh, here's a better one. This is one you're gonna like. The Toronto Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup or Satoshi Nakamoto moving a coin.
I say the coins.
So I think that's a better analogy.
I say the coins for sure.
Or question, sorry. But there we go. I'm not sure if you want to talk
watch.
anything.
We both said that we're not going to watch, but now I'm kind of reconsidering it. Is it like a docu-series or just one documentary?
I think it's one.
I got to watch the Vince McMahon documentary. I have to finish that. I got to finish Love is Blind. What else did I want to watch? I put in like another, Elon on Tucker I have to listen to. And now I have to do this too. I could make time.
You'll have a lot of downtime very soon.
I'll be at home at least. So yeah.
You're tired, but you'll have downtime.
Yeah. Sure.
Coinbase. We should chat about them quickly. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about them or anything. I want to pump your bags if possible, Joey. Let's get you to the easy street. But they are going to be bowing down to the wishes of the EU. And they have announced that due to the markets in crypto assets regulation, MiCA, I think is.
Yeah, we talked about MiCA before on the show. Yeah.
And it's pronounced MiCA, right?
Yep.
So these rules come into effect December 31st this year. And it says that unauthorized stablecoins, such as Tether, will need to be delisted from Coinbase. And so Coinbase is going to be honoring
so bogus, man. So bogus.
So MiCA is requiring issuers of stablecoins to meet strict transparency, liquidity, and consumer protection standards, for which Tether doesn't meet any of these, if according to their standards.
Consumer protection again.
Well, we talked about like Tether quite a bit in the past little while. Looking at this might make it harder for people to onboard into Tether, because it looks like they're going to be closing on ramps and off ramps in the EU. Operation Choke Point 2.0, but for stablecoins. Either way, if you don't, USDT, I don't think this is being heavily used in EU. Let's be honest. The euro is still relatively stable compared to the USD, in my opinion. I suspect the people that are using something like USDT are people in developing nations. Maybe people are buying it purchasing it in the EU and sending it to people abroad. I don't know, But I can understand why people in developing nations wanting to use it, USDT, to try to avoid using the local currency, which tends to be, in comparison to the US dollar, not too good. But people in the EU will still have options if they want to get hold of a stablecoin. USDC is still going to be there. So, but these are the guys that also blacklisted some addresses. So it's kind of very much centralized. For non-compliance, they blacklisted. So yeah, there you go. Is this going to be the way that governments worldwide are going to try to get and go against USDT?
I know one government that's not going to. I know one government that's not going to.
Which one?
The U.S. government.
For USDT?
Yeah.
Explain.
The bonds, the treasury notes.
Do you think they need the sales of them, and they want?
I think they're intertwined now. I still want to get Mark Goodwin back on the show to talk about this. But yeah, I think that they're presumably, if you look at Choke Point in the States, they've done basically everything but go after Tether. Even though Tether was really at the center of a lot of discussion about, fake price movement and artificially inflating the price of Bitcoin. And they didn't have the things that Tether back one-to-one. And then Tether had to start talking about, well, it's not one-to-one cash, it's one-to-one cash and cash equivalents. And that's when the whole treasury note story started to come out. Like, here's what we actually have. Oh, it's, 100 billion in fucking 90-day paper. Yeah, so I don't know. As far as like the Coinbase story, I don't really care about this. Like Coinbase is stablecoin.
Care about Coinbase. It's Coinbase.
Does Coinbase's stablecoin really matter in the grand scheme? Is basically what I'm asking. Yeah, like I'm not sure that it does. Tether is the one everyone uses. That's the one.
Where do they make most of their fees? It's gonna be trades, right?
I guess, yeah, trading fees. SB was saying that it was trading fees, yeah.
So USDC or USDT or DC.
It's a fun side project, and like maybe it helps with. Does it help people get liquidity? Maybe if they need it and they don't want it in their local currency. Like, I don't know. Was the intention that you become sort of this walled garden? They've tried this already, right, with the Bitcoin stuff. So you can only like use or send Bitcoin to other Coinbase addresses on chain. What was the story a few months ago? I forget now. So I'm speaking out of turn here for sure, but. The point is that they've tried to do this walled garden thing in the past, and I think USDC was part of that playbook, but it just doesn't, it doesn't make a lot of sense to use that if Tether is out there, right?
We should do our own.
CBPT?
US CBP.
I think you can only do 4 letters. 4 letters on the ticker.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure, yeah.
No, man, there's some shitcoins that probably have longer tickers than that.
Oh, maybe like.
Let's be honest.
No, I don't think so. Is it?
Okay, we'll do CBPT or C or whatever, something like that. Rest assured, it's going to be backed 1-to-1 by US dollars, Canadian, where the fuck it is, and so you could use that to buy whatever you want. So definitely buy it once we release it.
Boomer got the ticker in there for us. Cuck.
Yeah. We'll do it on the Woo network.
What about the Whiff network, Dog Whiff Hat or whatever?
Fuck that shit. All right, let's keep talking about these shitcoins because Bitwise, they made some news this past week. They have filed with the SEC for a Bitcoin's Treasury Rotation ETF, ticker BITC. And they wish to convert their existing ETFs into new products. So they have 3 different ones. I'm going to focus on the Bitcoin one because they got one with Ethereum and one for a combination of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the Bitcoin one is going to become the Bitcoin Strategy Optimum Roll ETF. And it's, this is going to be renamed as the Trend-Wise Bitcoin and Treasuries Rotation Strategy ETF. What a fucking name. So the strategy here.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Strategy here is to use, this is fucked up, Joey. They're going to use an exponential moving average to decide on a safer investment. If the 10-day EMA is higher than the 20-day EMA, the fund will focus on Bitcoin.
Right.
If the 20-day EMA overtakes the 10-day EMA, the fund will shift to U.S. Treasuries.
Yeah, okay.
And the goal of this is to reduce volatility. Just fucking take my money and burn it. That's a pretty standard technical indicator, right? The EMA is crossing. So overtake is just a way to say crossing down or crossing up. So if you get like that's not the
the right time frame for death cross and golden cross. But generally, if you buy on a golden cross, when the price is trending upward or about to trend upward on the moving averages, you're in for a pretty high probability upswing, length of time TBD, depth and breadth TBD, but an upswing. And then on the way down, generally, if you sell at that time, you get a pretty decent likelihood that you're going to be in the same boat. I honestly have half a mind here to just pull out the crayons and do this right now.
But with this, they're hoping that it's going to be
if you type in Bitcoin in TradingView, the first thing that comes up is BITC, Bitwise strategy.
There you go.
Oh,
so they're hoping that it's going to be approved by the SEC and ready for trading by early December.
Yeah, sure. Aren't we all? I'm gonna add these lines here. Hold on.
Because what they have right now is the existing futures, right? I think that's what they want to transfer over.
Yeah.
Right. So good for them.
So that's EMA he's using.
The 10-day compared to the 20-day. That's so the comparable between the two is going to decide if they're going to be focusing on Bitcoin or U.S. Treasuries. Oh yeah, Treasuries, baby.
I love to see it. Geez, I wish I'd done this in advance. Go to TradingView and you just use the EMA. I think TradingView actually calls it moving average exponential, not exponential moving average. And so go there and just have a look and see when those lines cross each other and see how the price moves shortly after. It's pretty reliable, but it's just there's fees associated with strategies like this. You could do this on your own if you really wanted to, right? You could sell certain points. I know that in the past, again, when the show was in its infancy, we used to talk about these crosses once in a while. And I used to tweet before I was deleting my tweets, that on these crosses, it takes away some of the emotion in the buying. Like if you're planning on buying a big chunk, just wait for the next cross and you'll feel pretty good about it. And if you want to sell a chunk or you want to, use a chunk or whatever, you feel pretty good when those things cross down that you're going to get a significant downward price move. Again, the depth and breadth and length or whatever, it's up in the air, but there's some reasonable expectation that the outcome will be good on the one side, bad on the other. I don't know why you need a strategy for this, though. I guess the treasury is really the other side of the strategy is what the selling point is. But why the fuck would you need treasuries? Why not just be in? Yeah, I don't know. It's not really worth it.
I don't know. I mean, there's other options. There's the FIBB, the fuck it buy Bitcoin strategy.
Yeah, I do like that ticker. Yeah.
And it's a strategy. So if you're able to trade your local currency for Bitcoin, then the FIBB takes into effect. You do that until you can no longer trade your local currency for Bitcoin. Then the FIBB is no longer applicable. So
you can't use that strategy anymore.
The fuck it buy Bitcoin. That's all you got to do. So I think I think of Joey. I guess we could take one last quick story. Metaplanet, they just keep buying more and more Bitcoin. I don't know how the fuck.
Did they buy again? I didn't know that.
It's every fucking day they buy. It's every day of the month they buy. It's something like 3 Bitcoin a month, or no more than that. Sorry, 35 Bitcoin a day or something that they're buying. Is something crazy. The fuck are these guys? These guys are good for them.
I like it. Yeah. What's not to like about that? These guys are putting their money where their mouth is, right? That's what we want to see around here.
Yeah. Everyone should be doing this kind of thing, and good for them. But totally I guess that's it for Bitcoin. For me, unless you want to talk about any other Bitcoin related story. But
no, I don't think so. I think we're good. Let's go to the notable news. If you're on audio, see you tomorrow. If you're on video, Twitter, YouTube, whatever, stick around. We got another 50, 45, whatever minutes to go. So strap in.
Don't be a cock.
53, 51. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about the East Coast that's been battered by a hurricane, and it's North Carolina, from what I understand, and
Florida tonight. Another one coming.
Yeah, Category 4, almost 5.
Yeah.
And the people are talking about for the last one, Helene. Is it Helene? Is that I pronounce it right?
Yeah, I think so.
So FEMA might not have enough money to cover the costs for the disaster. That's apparently people are saying that they're blaming foreign aid as a reason for the shortfall. But FEMA noted on their website, they actually released a statement. They said that no money is being diverted from the disaster response needs. FEMA's disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the disaster relief fund, which is dedicated fund for the disaster efforts. So they're saying no fucking money is being diverted away from this shit. Anything that they need, they're going to get from the disaster release fund.
As long as all you need is a $750 loan, then whatever you need, you're going to get it.
So there's people lost their homes, people lost their lives, people lost everything, and 750 is what you're like. We've had Hawaii where this similar type of thing happened. It's kind of a UBI in a way, right? It's almost not quite a UBI. It's like, here you go, like you lost everything, and here's a small chunk of change to help you start your life.
It's so sad.
It's
just, man, it's terrible. It is terrible.
But like on a flip side too, what about people that have absolutely nothing?
Yeah.
What do they get? What about a bum on the street?
I'm with you. Like, I know.
So I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't get something, but like, there's whatever they do, they're going to be fucking roasted.
Yeah, maybe. But the point is not, I mean, the sort of thing that you're saying, well, I don't agree necessarily that the context is correct. I do agree that the outcome and the other side of the coin is pretty bulletproof, honestly. It seems like these guys got a blank check for every Tom, Dick, and Harry overseas, as long as that Tom, Dick, and Harry are Israel or Ukraine or whatever. Pick your foreign war. But then when the Americans need it, their own people, the blank check is nowhere to be found. There's no one willing to just dole out a bunch more money. There's no one willing to talk about how these people need disaster relief. Kamala Harris, in her infinite wisdom, what a just stupid woman. I'm gonna find this tweet and I have to pull it up because it's really just like disgusting. Actually, it's shameful, it's embarrassing, and it's a great example of where we are in terms of American politics. That this woman is, revered even by the low IQ people who plan to vote for her, but worse, that no one in the American government thought that this was a good idea or could figure out this was a bad idea. This is truly insane. Okay, let me pull this up here. You guys are gonna shit, man. You may have already seen this, so forgive me if you've seen it already, but I really do want to share it because it's just so disgusting. Okay. In the middle of what is maybe the largest disaster on U.S. soil in the last 10 or 15 years, maybe longer, and on the brink of what's going to be another absolute bulldozing on the West Coast, the people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. 157 million additional assistance to people of Lebanon for essential needs. This additional support brings the total U.S. assistance to Lebanon over last year to 385 million. Fuck you, is what you should be saying to that if you're an American. It's not about whether the people in Lebanon are deserving of that aid. It's not about whether the people in Lebanon are experiencing a hardship. It's about who the fuck is supposed to be tops on your list of people who need help. As if there's any debate about this. And then the White House today decides to send Karine Jean-Pierre in a suit that makes her look like she's either supposed to be carrying a Tommy gun and trying to kill Dick Tracy, or that there's three little boys dressed up in their father's tuxedo trying to get somebody fired in a 1980s Disney movie. And she goes out there and says that everyone's getting all the money that they're supposed to get. And Ducey, God bless him, once again holding her feet to the fire and telling her, you said on this podium you guys were diverting FEMA money to other causes, including illegal immigration over the last 3 years. And now you're telling me Hawaii, Carolinas, and what's about to be Florida again, you got $750 for those people? You won't let people deliver aid? Elon is very plainly calling out Pete Buttigieg on Twitter saying, look, if you're not actually doing the things you're doing, you got to prove it to me. And he seems to be unresponsive. The U.S. government is either one of two things. They are grossly corrupt and sending all sorts of money out to all sorts of other places except the places needed most. Boomer brings up East Palatine too. That's right. The big chemical spill there on the train 2 years ago, I think at this point, maybe longer. God, time is flying. They're either grossly corrupt and just literally sending your money overseas constantly and not giving any of it to you, just laundering it and sending it to defense funds and getting it back through super PACs and donations and other, suspect shadowy means. That's the best case. The worst case, like I said last week, is actually not that they're corrupt. It's that they're incompetent. And this is the best response they can muster. This is what the global superpower can do when they're at the top of their game, is just let you die in a damp swamp while your dead dog floats away and you starve to death while your kids are screaming and shit is just floating around you. and helicopters that want to bring in stuff can't do it. Private planes that want to bring in stuff can't do it. The worst case is that that's the best the government can do. And in either case, you're fucked. You're fucked. And, you know, part of me, when I talk to people about how I want to move to the States, think it's a great country, I see stories like this, and I'm like, holy shit, man. Heaven forbid you ever wind up in a situation where you need help from the American government, because they will send it to literally any fucking foreigner before they give it to you. It's shameful.
Do you think that FEMA, because people are making claims, and I have nothing to say this is true or not, that FEMA is stopping aid from?
It's hard to say.
Not FEMA approved.
There's at least.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know. There's an argument to be made that FEMA is trying to restrict the airspace for their own operations.
Yes.
Maybe, but the problem is that no one's getting help anyway. So everyone on Twitter looks to be saying the same thing, regardless of whether it's in certain parts of the state or other parts of the state, regardless of whether it's someone who's heard something from a friend. Elon's tweeting out private messages he's getting from Starlink staff and Tesla staff in the area. And they're all saying the same thing. There's no help here. We're not getting the support we need. And whether or not FEMA is blocking the airspace for their own operations or not, again, grossly corrupt or grossly incompetent. Either way, you're going to wind up dying cold and hungry when something like this happens. So whether or not they're blocking the airspace, to me, is secondary. The result is the same. And the result is that you don't get the help you need. These guys have one job, right? Like FEMA has one job: federal emergency management. Like that's the whole thing. And this is an emergency. The feds are supposed to deal with it. And what's happening?
It's not the first time.
Do you not think like if Kamala could take a break from talking to washed up sluts on Call Her Daddy for 10 fucking minutes and tweet a picture, a video, something, the White House press team would be tweeting tons of fucking videos, people getting help if they were getting help. Don't you think?
Probably.
Yeah, and are they?
PR.
And are they?
I don't think they are.
I haven't seen anything.
But
I haven't seen a single thing. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, show me the help that you're giving instead of just tweeting. And literally Kamala going on Call Her Daddy, like to talk to Alex Cooper about.
They just don't have the ability to do shit. That's
the problem. If they're they're either grossly corrupt or grossly incompetent. Either way, you're fucked. Yeah, exactly.
They just don't have the. Everyone points to this foreign aid as being, look at this. These guys are getting
that is a bad thing because they seem to be very competent when it comes to giving money to the meat grinder. But they're completely incompetent when it comes to helping themselves.
See, that's not entirely correct. It's not just simply they're writing a check and giving it to them. It's like, for example, for Ukraine, for some of the stuff that they get over there are items that the military have that's going to be expiring. So rather than have it expire and reorder it, they just send it to the Ukraine and let them deal with it.
Like,
so that's how they some of the aid is from that.
The Harris tweet one more time. The United States will provide $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon, like food, shelter, water, protection, and sanitation. Sound like you need any of those things in Carolina? For sure. This additional support brings the total U.S. assistance to Lebanon to $385 million. $385 million in the last year.
That's fuck all.
But you know what? It's not fuck all when you need it during a hurricane response. And those guys aren't getting it.
See, let's do the math. $750 per person. How many people you think got it? 100,000, 10,000? That's sort of number. Let's say 500,000. I mean, that's probably low, right? So let's say 500,000 people. That's $375 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Just for only 500,000 people. I would imagine millions of people probably are going to get this. Like, we're talking billions. And I'm not trying to defend. Like,
I know
they're sending the people in Lebanon a fraction of this. Now, they just don't have the ability to deal with this. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the ability. It's a disaster. They have the military and all this, but still, it's just they have to wait for shit to subside, water to get down, and the ability to start bringing in shit. Look, like, sometimes they just don't have it. Like, I know it's a totally different topic. Like Vietnam, think of all the money they spent.
Yeah,
on that.
You know what though?
They could not win that war.
I think that like it's worse though because these people are so brazenly corrupt. Like the Department of Homeland Security lead, the chair. What is this guy's title exactly? Secretary of Homeland Security. So this guy's got emergency response under his belt. Here's him on Saturday shopping. Like there's a thing to be said about tact and finesse. Right? There's something to be said about tact and finesse. Politicians now don't have it. And so when you see roaches like Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates, Al Gore, John Kerry whining and screaming into their pillow about how Twitter is full of disinformation, they need to control it, needs to be regulated because of blah, 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 they're fucking lying. They want to control it so that this picture of this fucking scumbag shopping while people are dying in his country under his portfolio that should be under his management after his team says he's working around the clock. Does this look like fucking working to you? If you told your boss you were working and this picture came out of you, what would he say? Would he say, this looks like work to me? No. This guy, they can't help themselves. And so the question is, at what point does the average American voter say, I've had enough of this? I'm not doing the taxes thing anymore. I'm not doing the I'm doing the I'm going into the military. I'm not doing the standing for the national anthem. I'm not doing any of it. At what point do they do that? This is like a major black pill for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I have
100%.
one more thing. There's one more thing I want to say here. Actually, a couple more things I want to share. Here's another one from John Bolton, or Lindsey Graham, sorry. Lindsey Graham, I've been going all over South Carolina. Like most people, I haven't slept much, but look what's going on in Israel. We have to help our friends and keep the war over there from coming home. What the fuck is this guy talking about?
That's a topic I don't want to.
What is he talking about, Len? Like, what the fuck is going on? There's one more I found that I shared with our friends Wayfaring and SB. God, I hope I can find it. I hope I can find it.
I'll buy you some time.
I don't think I'll be able to. I'm way too far back now. But the other thing I wanted to say is someone pointed out on Twitter that the U.S. government has not only given expiring military equipment to Ukraine. You know what else they've been giving? Generators. And now, you know where you could use those generators? Hurricane site. And they don't have them. They don't have the stockpile of generators you're supposed to have. The incompetence runs deep, man. It runs deep.
And I wonder now also, because they drained the SPR quite a bit, I'm wondering if this
is fuck. Who knows? Right? That's like a whole other story. Yeah.
We don't hear much about it.
I'm kicking my camera here. I'm so pissed. Like, it's insane, man. Like this stuff should not go unscrutinized in the sort of most generous case and unpunished in the worst. What can you say about this?
What are these people going to do? People are impacted, and in Canada, it's kind of a similar thing for people that are impacted by higher cost. What happens? You tend to punish those that are in power. So that's why in Canada, a lot of people are not too happy with the government right here, with what they've done in the past a little while. But also in the States, these people, that's Trump territory, and they don't have
another
the
thing entirely. Listen, BTC Priestess. I'm with you, girl.
I'm not trying to say there's anything.
But you're not even. She's right though. Like we're not even covering the tinfoil stuff. This is one tinfoil thing that the Trump voters.
No, it's not tinfoil.
I think a lot of people would say this is tinfoil.
No. This is the reality of it. You have a month to figure shit out. That they have the ability to fucking go out and vote, not deal with the problems that they're dealing. So they probably won't have the ability to vote. And again, I'm not trying to say this is engineered in one way or shape or another. I just think this is a circumstance. This could have been even a blue state, a red state, blue state. Blue state could have suffered this, and the same result would have happened just because they don't have the ability or whatever. So, look,
this guy is fucking shopping, Len. Like.
They have the wrong flood, right? Like they got a flood of illegals, but that's the one they wanted, not the flood of this, right? The wrong one.
Are we doing a Chicago story today?
No. If you want to bring one up,
Let's do one here. I just saw one on my Twitter feed here. We have to bring it up.
Yours.
This is big. I think we have to talk about this. This is an important subject that we should all be thinking more about, I think. And as things decline here, we should just enjoy it. Thanks to stories like this. Okay, let's have a listen.
I like Brandon Johnson. He's a great guy. Well, I don't hear any volume.
Fiscally responsible stewards.
I heard about this.
Then the so-called exports. The so-called fiscally responsible stewards are making the same argument when our people wanted to be liberated and emancipated in this country. The argument was, you can't free black people because it would be too expensive. They said that it would be fiscally
it's hard to hear it.
irresponsible for this country.
We have to find out what's going on with this audio, but the story, as you can see, Chicago mayor says balancing budgets is akin to slavery.
Yeah.
Let's move on. What other stories we got?
I just want to say Kamala Harris, she's obviously running for president and everything. 6 months ago, Joey, or even say 4 months ago, let's say we'll go back even just 4 months ago, would you think that she would be in this position? Remember the ideas people had of her?
Yeah.
She's now, it's possible.
She's down big on Polymarket, but it is possible.
Still, it's either person A or person B. Those are your two options. It's a two-party system in the United States. It's possible she could win. Imagine 4 months ago. Think of I always thought she was better than Biden.
Did you listen to, I mean, you didn't obviously listen to the Caller Daddy podcast that she did. I have to listen to it because I hate myself. And the clips I've seen are just it's like
life is short.
Oh God, you're right, Len. I shouldn't do it. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Burr. Because that's something we should be talking about. This is, because this past week, the U.S. national debt, it jumped up $204 billion in a single day, Joey. $204 billion.
That's because at the end of September, that's like, right. Yeah.
But still, that equates to 8.5 billion per hour, right? So we could put this into context. I know that dollar for dollar things have changed. It cost United States $25 billion in 1969 to put people on the moon.
Allegedly, yeah.
I'm going to say they did. But they $25 million to go to the moon. The interstate highway system, $114 billion in 1956. Panama Canal. This is to link two fucking oceans. Cost the U.S. $375 million only. Think about it. $204 billion in one fucking day, Joey. This is the strongest economy in history, Jack. I want some more ice cream. This shit's over, right? There's no way this shit is fucking over. And on top of this, Joey, we had this big jump in the U.S. debt.
Yeah.
They also reported 254,000 jobs that were added to the economy for the months of September. Unemployment rate went down to 4.1%.
Yeah, it's all fake jobs anyway. Government jobs and
32 days, man.
Jobs. Yeah, I know.
32 days. That's all I got. Whatever the fucking
George Gammon had a great tweet. I think it was George Gammon. If you want to know which direction the economic data is going to go over the next month, just ask yourself which data is, what data points are going to ensure the best chance for Democrats to stay in the White House.
There's more to this. You probably know about it, but people that don't. So 159,000 jobs were expected, and so 254 was reported. Also, they revised the July and August reports, and they added another 72,000 jobs for those 2 months that were previously reported. Typically, they revised downward and heavily downward. But for these 2 months, we have this job report and one more coming just before the election. Surprisingly, these came really good. 32 days, Joey. 32 days. Interest rates. They got to be more cuts coming. After seeing this number, right?
Next meeting is the day after the election. So that's going to be weird because they won't have a result, and Powell will be out there talking, and all the questions will be about political instability, and Powell might have to carry a machine gun or something. I don't know. It's going to be nuts. That's going to be the press conferences are always funny anyways, but that one's going to be really good, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know what happened a week ago? And it seemed like, and this happens all the time on our show, that enough time has elapsed. It seems like it happened last year, but the attack on Israel by Iran, all those missiles.
A year ago today. Yeah.
No, it happened just this week. The Israel attack.
Oh,
you're talking about the Palestine attack.
The original
We're
one.
talking. This happened just like Tuesday last week, whatever it was. But pictures, videos, footages of those rockets coming from Iran or launched by Iranian forces, and some of them going through the Iron Dome and landing in Israel territory. Seemed like that happened so long ago, but that was within the past 7 days, Joey. Now, there's some questions to do if this was if there's a lot of collateral damage here, be it for human loss of life, injuries, or whatever. But I don't know. I can't say. It just seemed like it looked pretty bad, man. What the fuck? Like we were on the cusp of some large scale.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this Iranian general that went missing? And he's part of. It's funny. This is allegedly some Iranian general went missing, and he's part of the Israeli intelligence. He was an agent for them.
These guys got tentacles all over the place, man.
Man,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Blowing up
It's
pagers, got Iranian guys working in the government. Like, it's a bit much. That again, I saw Gandalf tweeted. He's living in Dubai. He's basically like a hop, skip, and a jump away from a war zone.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, and he says he doesn't like it. Like life is carrying on there, like nothing is going on. No one is concerned at all. That's
What
the
are you gonna
closest he's
do?
ever been to a war. I don't know. I wouldn't be sleeping for sure. I'm a huge baby. There's no way.
Life has got to carry on, right? Like for those folks.
Shit, I guess. Still though, like it's kind of weird. We are on this like this like waltz into disaster, basically. It's not a shot at Tim there, but and no one seems to know or care. And like instead, there's I saw this other great video. I'm not going to pull it up, but of a FEMA Zoom meeting where they talk about equity in disaster relief. Like the top priority should be equity in their disaster relief planning. Like, the military is seemingly unprepared. There's been reports and studies over the last, I think, like year or so, Len. We've probably talked about them on Notable News, maybe when it was going by another name. But the idea that like the U.S. military is woefully under-equipped from a human capital perspective, like everyone is fat and on SSRIs, basically, like they can't fight a war. So, is Lindsey Graham gonna pick up a shoulder mounted SAM bazooka? I doubt it. Who's flying the planes? Who's getting on? Where's the boots on the ground? I don't know, but they ain't in the U.S. So this
Strongest
idea that
military in the world.
yeah, allegedly that's what I keep hearing, but these guys keep having their buttons pushed and they're not really doing anything about it. So
It's okay.
we talked about this a while ago. Could the U.S. execute, at the level that Israel has executed? You can say what you want. There's a bunch of people out there who don't like Israel, a bunch more who don't like Hamas. Like, I don't really care. What I'm asking is the U.S. government even as competent as either of these groups? You got one group who, if you listen to all the sort of public facing analysis, is waging a huge war of many decades at this point, basically living in squalor and operating out of caves. And then you have another group who's, occupying one country in a war zone, who's able to execute stuff like supply line attacks on pagers and high ranking officials who are actually wearing two hats in enemy countries. Could the U.S. do any of that?
Yeah.
You think the pager thing? Do you think you pull that off?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we kind of poke fun, but they have the resources they have at their disposal.
Okay.
It's hard to fathom what they do have.
Yeah.
The one thing we heard from Saifedean? Doesn't he live in Beirut, or am I wrong?
He used to. I don't know if he still does. Last time I heard from Saifedean, he was in like a giant online war with Konstantin Kisin from Trigonometry, but I haven't heard from him since.
Trigonometry. That's the second time that podcast has come up, and I'll tell you a story after we go off the air about them. Good story. You like this one? Jeep Wrangler and Grand Cherokees. These.
I used to love Grand
SUVs.
Cherokees when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. The plug-in hybrid models, because they do offer those for those two models. Sorry. The owners should take notice because they are advised to stop charging their vehicles due to fire risks. And there's going to be a recall of around 150,000 of these plug-in hybrids.
Oh man.
The issue
that
is
number, that 150,000 number, going to be revised down, by the way, when they realize only 30 or 40 people bought these fucking things.
So the issue is the high voltage battery in these Jeeps plug-in hybrids, and they may fail internally and lead to a vehicle fire. This could happen when parked, driving, or charging. Now the parked one is really, people parking
Parked
in their garage.
a separate designation from charging, I guess, eh? So you don't even have to be charging it. It can still blow
Just
up
has to be
on you.
sitting there. Just
Wow.
it exists and it could spontaneously combust.
Sweet.
But those are like those fires are dangerous in garages because obviously your house is going to take it, but also in condos because it's hard for them to fire to get there. And those fires, they burn like hot and crazy. So yeah, this is a problem that we don't talk about a lot with electric vehicles, is that the potential for fires when they do come out, they're nasty. And it's funny because all of us that are driving internal combustion engine cars, we essentially have like a bomb in the back, like it's either filled with gas and diesel, but we get hit and nothing happens. Sometimes
Incredibly safe. Yeah.
Right. Like the last time you heard, like the Pinto is the last one I could think of that you just would rear end collision. It lights up like a candle, but man, like we don't talk about this enough with electric vehicles, and this is a problem. Like, never mind the amount of lithium you have to mine, never mind the amount of cobalt you have to mine, copper that's needed to get these things moving.
Did we talk about the Toronto when the Toronto flood happened? People were saying, like Toronto Police Services were saying that they wanted to know if you had a electric car in your car garage, your car park or whatever, because the batteries can go up. Yeah. So that was like, I guess in the summer at this point, right? And it kind of went under the radar because there's just so many other crazy videos of that flood over the week or so here in Ontario. But yeah, I mean, they're dangerous. The batteries are dangerous. They don't last. It sounds like even if they do last, they might blow up. Like, I don't know. You know, I keep on hearing that battery cars, the next best, the next great thing, and everyone's going to be hyped on these commuter vehicles. And I don't buy it, honestly. It doesn't seem to me that they're ready for prime time, like the Lightning Network. They're just not there. Yeah.
If they fill the void, they can, but it's not a total replacement. It's got to be in conjunction with
maybe
something else. And what's the percentage breakdown between one or the other? I don't know. I'm not going to even guess. But
no point.
There's no way to say that electric vehicles are going to replace.
Someone said that. I think it was on Money Talks this weekend or last weekend that the number of like the penetration is basically 1%. And, people now say that, 10% of all new cars bought are internal combustion. It's not really it's kind of a misleading stat because no one's buying new cars. Everyone's buying used cars. They're leasing as well. And that, sort of specifically excluded from some of that data. So, make of that what you will. I think penetration is very low.
In the States, I've seen pictures and I've heard anecdotal evidence of lots filled with unsold electric cars. They just can't sell them. Here in Canada, for whatever reason, it's an easier time to sell electric cars. When I go for a drive to and from work or just around, I see a lot of those green plates which signify that the car is electric. And I see a lot of them. And not to say that
they're hybrid. Green plate could be hybrid.
It could be hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or just simply all electric. Like the Teslas, obviously, I see are 100% electric, and I could tell the other ones that are 100% electric. There's a lot on the road, not 30%, but it's greater than 1% in my opinion.
Okay, Boomer says 2.5%, so maybe he's right. Maybe I'm right. Maybe we'll have to find out. Robert Bryce was the guest on Money Talks. Boomer is pointing out in the chat. I would like to talk to him on the show. I have to, like I said, I can't really book too many more guests, but yeah, let's think about getting some of these guys on because it's an important topic. Like in Bitcoin too, you're looking now at energy alternatives in mining, right? Like people buying up, like Microsoft just bought 3 Mile Island.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are looking at energy as a cost that's going to go up over the next little while, and consumers will eventually make that adjustment too if it's warranted.
I just hope they don't run Microsoft Windows on the systems of 3 Mile.
They run Copilot.
Fuck, we already had one disaster in the 70s, I think it was, with that place. So
did we? I don't know. I know we did. I don't remember when though.
Bank of America, this happened in the past 7 days too. Good, we should discuss it. Sure. October 2nd, Bank of America experienced a widespread outage that affected many of its customers. A lot of their customers were going online and seeing their account balances were showing $0. That was incorrect, of course. And this happened around noon Eastern on that day. And it just goes to show you, like, your money is not your money when you put it in a bank. It's their money and they can do whatever they want with it. These people, unfortunately, for a brief period of time, didn't have access to their funds. This type of story is happening more and more frequently. And it's coming at a time when people have to pay bills, shit like that. Like, it's not like you could go to, I have to pay a mortgage payment, go to the bank, zero. What the fuck? When you have to pay a bill, they want the money.
For
They're not
sure.
going to say like, "Oh, your bank is fucked up. It's okay. I'll give you 30 days to fix it." No, man, they want their fucking money, right? Like, this is the way the world works, and this shit is happening more and more frequently. I can't believe, as I read more of these stories, why we still do it. Like, Bitcoin makes so much sense
Totally.
when you have access to your Bitcoin 24/7, and you could easily just broadcast a transaction to send it wherever you want, and it will go there. Self-custody, holy fuck, it's so much better than dealing with this bullshit from the banks. But this is the way it works for now.
Yes, sir.
At least
Agreed.
for now.
Funny though that you could still take credit cards, no problem, loans, no problem. All your debt was still fine. You could get all that stuff easy, right? But your cash, not in if it's not in the shoebox under your bank or under your bed, then it's not yours, is it? People find out the hard way. It's funny that the bank, maxis will always say that Bitcoin is not reliable. The network could go out, government could shut it down. Well, there's been a lot more outages of Interac and banks over the last 2 years than Bitcoin, as far as I know. So
10 years. Let's go further back, because I
Yeah.
think the last major outage for Bitcoin was a decade ago.
yeah, 2013, I think, right? So
So we've had how much data of banks just not being, some going tits up,
totally.
some
Totally.
just right.
And people
Bitcoin
they will
works.
still like go to bat and simp for these banks as if they're like these unbelievably fortified pillars that never go out, never have outages, never have blackout periods, never give you that's all they do is give you problems. By the way, even if your bank is up in terms of like technically uptime wise, if you need $10,000, you still got to wait 3 days. If you need $30,000, you still got to talk to 50 people who don't know anything about you and are just checking boxes. Like none of it makes sense from an efficiency standpoint. And I think more and more people are starting to realize it doesn't make sense from a custody, savings, and reliability standpoint either. So not a surprise, man.
And moving your Bitcoin, doesn't matter the value of it, it's 10 minutes on average.
Yep.
Sure, it could take an hour sometimes for a variety of reasons longer, but on average, it's 10 minutes if you
That's right.
do it right.
Yep.
What the fuck? That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Costco, because some time ago we talked about them selling gold bars and silver coins to its members. It seems precious metals are in such high demand that Costco has decided to add platinum bars in their offerings to customers. And this decision was made to offer platinum after it was reported that they sold over $100 million of gold bars in just 3 months from when they first offered it back in September of 2023.
Yep.
And that was at a time when gold prices was about $2,000 an ounce. Now, what is it? $2,700, where the fuck it is.
Yeah, around there. 26 and change, maybe.
Yeah. So it's gone up quite a bit in that past year. Demand for gold and silver for Costco members is quite high. They're limiting one transaction per membership with a maximum of 5 units. They are offering the same with platinum bars to customers. It's a limit of one transaction per membership with maximum of 5 units. So that applies to gold, silver, or platinum. It's just a sign of the times, man. Like, people are ordering this shit. And yeah, so you go online, you order it, and it gets sent to your home. You have to sign for it once it gets there, and that's the process. Costco.com is offering it. I didn't check the Costco.ca if they're offering. I should.
They have it. They have it. Didn't we look at this before? I think we did.
But the platinum, I didn't see. Because the platinum is something.
I'm pretty sure they had a bunch, and they had other metals.
I know they had
as well.
the gold and silver.
Yeah, and they had other denominations.
Platinum. All right, this
Check
is making for
platinum
awesome
rings.
Platinum
bands. Yeah,
I don't think they do.
Well, they must have.
Yeah, they don't. So Costco Canada, we got shut out here in Canada for the platinum, but we have the gold and silver offerings, so we're okay.
Yeah, you can get a platinum glass electric double wall oven with true European convection for $5,000. I'd rather get the gold ounce, I think.
Yeah, it's only available on Costco.com. I'm checking.
When's Amazon going to start selling gold bars? That's what I want to know. It's Prime Day tomorrow. Get a gold bar for 10% off.
And it gets delivered to your front door, and they just take a picture and run away. right? Like it's not like you have to sign for it with Amazon. It's just they take it, they just go there.
Yeah, that's
Then you have to
change that.
you got to sign up for that service where they give you the option that they could leave it inside your
they go into your house. Yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah,
on
your
that.
house or
Thanks,
garage.
thanks, but no thanks. Yeah,
You go there. Where the fuck's my motorcycle? It's gone now. Luckily, they left the bottle of Aquafina that I ordered. Thank you very much for the replacement.
Oh God, I love
Let's
it.
go to Notable North. Actually, unless you want to talk about anything else in
nothing comes to mind. I got everything off my chest when it came to that hurricane relief shit. So let's go on.
Be very brief on this next one. Mark Zelmer. This is a senior fellow at the C.D. Howe Institute, and he was also once the deputy superintendent at the office of the superintendent of financial institutions. So this guy was a senior official in finance for the Canadian government. He's now raising alarms that Canada needs to be better prepared for the risk of the bank run as that risk continues in Canada.
Mm.
This is scary. Now we're hearing the potential bank runs in Canada. We've talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. I think that this fractional reserve thing means that once you put your money into bank, all it takes is for some whales, quote unquote whales, to get their stuff out of the bank, and everybody else is kind of just get an IOU from the central bank. What do we do? Like, I've talked about this at length. I mean, I'm not going to go any further, but I'm not sure if you want to add any flavor to this. But I just find it interesting to hear this guy that used to work for the government of Canada talking like this and just saying, "Fuck."
How does a bank run look in Canada? Like, it's so tightly controlled here that I think that if there was ever even a sniff of a real bank run starting, the government would get out in front of it immediately. And
what does that mean when the government gets out in front of it?
Provide liquidity to the banks, or put in new regulations, or, as we saw in Australia, start to criminalize anyone who starts tweeting about the dangers of leaving money in the bank. Like, they would get in front of it for sure. There's just so few options here in terms of banks that have the cash that would make a bank run a legitimate threat.
So what does that do for confidence in the banking system or the value of the Canadian dollar?
Oh, it would tank, but I mean, those things are tanking all the same. The question is, is a bank run the first step or the last step? I don't know. Like, that's the other, the sort of other thing I've been.
No, it's not. It's far from the last step. It's going to be one of the dominoes.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. But I think some people would disagree. Some people would say a bank run is the last thing on the list. It's like the thing that's over the top.
It would be made whole. The customers would be made whole, and that would be part of the process to get where we all think this will end up getting to. And it's possible that this is. I mean, what does it take for a bank run to happen in Canada? Is it just
that's what I mean? I don't know.
Pensions? I think it's going to be there's just some big accounts saying, I don't want to deal with these banks in Canada.
Do you think a bank run is a legit concern, or do you think this guy's maybe a little over his skis?
I think it's a legitimate concern. Like, if that happens, if one of several of these large accounts say, I'm going to move my stuff to an offshore bank for a variety of reasons, I think that's going to be it. What, like, see large pensions say, I can't deal with it here. Like, I'm going to move it for what
the pension is a big one. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big one.
What happens then?
Yeah, like, Boomer's saying there was almost a bank run during the trucker convoy. I remember hearing about that a few different places, that the sort of confidence in banks disappeared because they started freezing people's assets. That's maybe actually true. I don't know. Then the Metro Canada banks only insure $100K in your bank account too, much less in the US. Yeah, you're telling me. So I don't know. Yeah. It's that
number's going to increase.
Yeah, it might, but like nominally, it's not.
No, I think it's going to be substantially. I think it's going to be a 2x, 3x, 4x in terms of the protection.
No, I'm saying no in nominal terms, yeah, but in real terms, no.
Oh, you get because as the wreckage of the valuation of the currency continues, yeah. Canadian Tire is under a lot of scrutiny these days because they've been hiring temporary foreign workers for retail jobs.
Absolutely ridiculous, embarrassing.
It is, and there's a lot of people. Like, if you look at young people and the unemployment rate that's associated with them, it's the highest it's been for years. So a lot of younger folks are having a difficult time finding employment. Everyone has seen pictures and video footages of when there's a job opening for somewhere, and the lineup is huge.
Yeah.
Those are that's all the people that are trying to apply. So the young people are in competition with those people, and their peers, immigrants, everyone else that's just trying to apply. Then you have Canadian Tire on top of this. They're going ahead for these temporary foreign workers. Now, it may be embarrassing. If you are a shareholder of Canadian Tire, they're doing, I can't believe I'm going to defend them.
We're all shareholders. Right, it's Canadian Tire's in the pension, right?
There you go. They're doing
Pretty sure.
Great thing for Canadians. They're doing the right thing because they are getting the most value for their dollar. They're trying to get for $1, they're trying to employ as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. They're working within the confines of the rules, the laws, procedures, regulations, you name it. So we could be upset with them, but this is capitalism. They're taking advantage of what's available to them. And in one way, good for them, but another way, shame on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're taking a lot of flack.
I don't think this is not going to be the last big company here, but this Tim Hortons obviously has come under a ton of scrutiny. There's some other good ones that we've talked about, like mechanics. You need special mechanics to take care of stuff. You need LMIAs for that. Fortino's near my house has tons of clearly Indian newcomers who are working in the cashier, like as a cashier. I've said this before on Twitter. I'll say it again. You have to go to local businesses and pay a premium to keep those guys around, because if you don't, your neighborhood will turn into a Century Initiative freak show. You have nothing but LMIA abusers, huge companies giving you shit service, shit products, terrible pricing, not contributing to community support, not contributing to cohesion, not contributing to anything that makes a place a good place to live. And Canadian Tire should be ashamed of themselves. How far have all these companies fallen? Tim Hortons and Canadian Tire are like staples of Canadian culture, and neither of them gave enough of a fucking flying fuck to think about, well, maybe we shouldn't sacrifice all the capital we've earned with people, all the reputation we've earned with people, and just hire locals to work at the store for a little bit more money. Canadian Tire used to be a place where you could like have a career and retire, you know? Tim Hortons, I don't know, but Canadian Tire was for sure. And now, you know?
Tim Hortons was purchased by, was it the people that own
Wendy's?
Burger King? Yeah, sorry, Wendy's.
Yeah.
So they lost their
identity.
identity.
It's been sold again since then.
To a Canadian consortium
Brazilian.
So like they're so far down now, they're no longer synonymous with being
totally. I totally agree. But like those companies
Canadian Tire is under the hand.
I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with them, right? Canadian Tire is owned it's the same people who own Mark's Work Warehouse.
That's right. Yeah, they're
Sport Check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who owns it? Sport Check owner. No, it's Canadian Tire is the brand. They own Mark's Work Warehouse, Helly Hansen, FGL Sports, Sport Check Atmosphere, and Sports Experts. Yeah, so they're running a pretty big conglomerate of Canadian retailers. I mean, the thing to keep in mind, steady, is that they just refuse to pay, and Canadians are not working, and they're suffering for it. And we're bringing in people from overseas who are faking that they're students, and they're taking jobs from. They're faking it.
Some are, some are not. I'm not.
They're all faking it. Some of them know they're faking it. Other ones don't know they're faking it, but they're all faking it. Getting a restaurant management degree from a place that has an apartment on top of it is not an education. And everyone involved
seems university and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, bullshit. Those people are not taking Canadian Tire jobs on LMIA, and like because they have better shit to do. If someone's going to Mac, they're not working at fucking Canadian Tire for $8 an hour and giving away a bunch of their money to stay in the country. They don't have to. Their path to citizenship is clear, thanks to McMaster.
I think that you're overstating how easy it is for these people to get by. I think there's a lot of people out there that students, they don't have jobs and they're just getting anything that's available to them.
But going to Mac and working on LMIA are two different things. LMIA is when you're like tapping into the foreign worker program, not a student who wants a job.
Oh, okay. So so like a student, I don't know the whole process, but if somebody comes here in a study permit, are they part of the whole LMIA process?
I don't think so.
See, this I don't know,
I don't think so.
I'm not going to exclude those. When I say though, I mean it's somebody that goes to Mac, foreign student that's they're majoring or whatever, double majoring, or they're getting an honors, what the fuck it is. I'm not going to say that they're a fake student. They're there. They're just as legitimate as anybody else, I think, and that's going there. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm too light on it, but
we should find out. We should bring on an immigration expert and talk to them about all this stuff because it comes up almost every week. I think there's still some gray areas for you and I where we could probably do better pinning down exactly what's what. And I would like to bring somebody on. Maybe I'll find someone.
Is Mark Miller around?
I don't think he's available for the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast, unfortunately. He is available he is available trying to convince Steve Soretsky that he's doing a good job, but he's not available for us.
Okay.
Would you bring on a minister anyways? Like I wouldn't personally.
I would love to chat with a cabinet minister. Yeah. Especially a senior one. Like it'd be
he's as senior as he gets as far as cabinet ministers, right? Like that's a big portfolio.
Finance is probably the most senior of them all.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, sure. Okay.
And I guess I'm going to end it on one last thing, because last week we were talking about the number of asylum claims in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mentioning that the Mexican asylum claims led the league a decade ago. And I was thinking that they probably don't have that many in the past little while. I was totally wrong. So in 2023, there was 25,000 Mexicans that made asylum claims in Canada.
Is it Mexicans or people coming through Mexico?
Mexican nationals. So those are holders of Mexican passports.
Yeah.
So I was blown away when I saw that. I didn't think that was the case, but
asylum claims.
Mm-hmm. They made for claims for asylum in Canada, over 25,000 in 2023. And in 2016, it was only 250 of them.
What?
So actually just as of this year, June of this year, the number was 29,000.
How can you claim asylum from Mexico?
A lot of people have in the past.
But how? Like, what is the condition?
It could be because you're persecuted because you maybe said something about the cartel. You brought up some information and there's nothing to say.
Maybe. 25,000 people did that, you think?
I don't know what is
you that. See what I'm getting. You see what I'm getting at?
No, I get it. Yeah. I'm just trying to give you what is what is a viable claim. I'm trying to say, like, and there could be more to it. Is sexual persecution a thing in?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, will they hate you if you're gay over there? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's a lot of things I don't know, and I don't want to try to connect dots here because I just, I'll make a fool of myself.
There's no point. Yeah.
But I just, in terms of numbers, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought there wouldn't be too many. I was wrong. There's quite a bit that did make a claim for asylum from coming from Mexico, which is interesting to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. I have nothing to add on that. It's just another data point. That's all, right? Boomer in the chat asking how long until we go the other way. I don't know. 5 years.
We're saying how long is it? And I joked about it like 20 years ago or so. I said, you know what? Because I hate the cold. I said, I'm going to go there and make a claim for asylum because I hate the winter.
To make an asylum claim, you have to say the winter hates you.
Oh,
and then you can go. Yeah. Don't fuck that up on the form. They'll turn you back.
But and I always did that tongue in cheek, and but fuck, man, the way things are trending, who knows? Maybe
I know,
but who knows?
Anyway.
Some parts of Mexico are really nice. Other parts,
I love Mexico. My dad's got a place down there. I go anytime I get a chance. Yeah,
nothing. I can say
good
that.
Spot.
Yeah, let's end it.
Let's get out of here. So no live show Wednesday, but there will be something out on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed on the usual times this week. Or the usual times this week. So
I hope you enjoy
stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned for that. And until next time, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cock.